Hello and welcome, Janet Beckers here with your episode this week of Romance Your Tribe Radio. Now this week we're going to talk about something that can absolutely make your business grow and make you enjoy what you're doing, or it can make growing your business a constant feeling of conflict, and that is getting the support of your partner, your loved ones, your family, the people who really impact you and your confidence and your sense of, yes, I can do this, I can go for my dreams. So whoever it is that is really having an impact on you, that you would really love to have their support, you're going to love this week's episode. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, it's a really common problem. If you've ever felt that you're in business on your own, like you've got a vision for what you're doing in your business. It could be a startup, it could be well established, but and it could be growing. At any time, you're going to have a vision, a dream for your business, and sometimes it can be so isolating, and you might feel as if really you're doing it on your own, that nobody else that's important to you, your partner or your family, is really that interested or invested. So it could simply be that you're feeling isolated. It could also be the opposite, that you're constantly feeling as if you have to justify your dream and that you're being constantly undermined. Now, that doesn't mean they're doing it deliberately, they may not even realize, but you're always feeling as if there is a sense of conflict every time you talk about your business. And there could be the middle ground as well, that you're wanting to invest time, money, attention, all those, you might be wanting to invest those things in your business. And they could be as simple as, you're wanting to go to a workshop, or you're wanting to invest in a program, or you're wanting to leave your job and focus on this. Whatever it is, those things where, it's not just you that is going to be making that financial or that time decision, because there are other people who also are impacted by what else that money could be spent on, or what else that time could be spent on. So we have those extremes. You're either feeling isolated, you're feeling actually undermined, or sometimes you're going to have to get a buy-in for that support of either time or money in your business. So if you've ever felt any of those, know that this is really, really normal. And so much so, this is the reason I'm talking about that this week, is this week I was in a business Facebook group. Just one, or people who are in all different types of businesses. It's pretty active. And somebody had put a question saying, what do you do if you're not feeling supported by your partner in your business? And it was really, really interesting. Huge amount of comments. Now, a lot of them were sharing, I get it, this is my frustration, and they shared their story. And what was really interesting was the advice that came from this, and how much of that advice was, that's it. If they're not supporting you, out of there. That relationship's over. If they're not supporting you 100%, out of here. Whoa! Like, talk about extreme. Like, if you're not getting the support, if you're feeling isolated, your whole relationship should finish. So it doesn't have to be that dramatic. There are ways to have these difficult conversations that can end up being really, really positive. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. This is the 7-step process to get your partner to support your dreams. So why the 7-step process? Well, I have a 7-step process that I use for every sales situation, for writing a sales letter, for doing a script for a video. It is Janet's 7-step process for absolutely everything, and I adapt it to all different situations because it works. And the steps are really important to be done in the exact order that I say, because it follows a psychology. And if you move the order around, you don't get the same response. So at this stage, just trust me, you must do them in this order. When I work with people closely on talking about using the 7-step process for sales, I go a lot more into the psychology, so you'll understand it. But just trust the process right now, because If you're trying to get somebody to have a buy-in, to give support, to give you encouragement, or to say, yeah, let's spend that on the business, whatever it is, it's a sale. You're having to sell them on why this is important. So that's why we're using the 7-step sales process to adapt to that conversation, to ask for support. And here is something you need to acknowledge right now. In sales, it is not about you. It is not about your needs, your frustrations. It is not about what you want. It is all about the person who is being sold. What are their frustrations? What are their goals? What is it that is going to get them what they want? You can see this as a big flip around, and you might already be thinking, how am I going to do that? Don't you worry, my darling. That's what I'm going to guide you through. So I want you to acknowledge or accept here 2 things. Number 1, getting support from your partner is the same as a sale. So we follow a sales process. And number 2, any sale, when you are having any discussion, any communication, is all about what's going through the mind of the person buying, not what's going through the mind of the person selling. Okay, so let's get stuck into it. And a really good exercise for you to do as I go through this is think about your exact situation. It may be isolation. It may be that you're actually getting undermined and they don't even realize it. Well, they might. Or it might be that you want to do something specific. You want to spend some money on a project, a mentor, on a new website, on whatever it is. You want to quit working in a job and you want to focus on this 100%. Think about your specific situation. So as I'm going through this, you can be applying that and how you can imagine that you would be communicating this. Okay, so in this situation, I'm going to assume that the person who we're talking about is your partner. Now, for you, it may not be that. It might be children. It might be parents. It might be friends. Whatever it is, the people who are the most significant for you. So in this example, I'm going to refer to partner, okay? So step number 1 in Janet's 7-step sales process is welcome the viewer. Now, in this situation, the viewer is going to be your partner. Now, to do that, you have to create a welcoming environment in order to have this discussion. So don't try and talk about this when you're cooking dinner and you've just got home at the end of busy days or whatever you've been doing, and there's things that are happening and you might be feeling tired and stressed. Don't even attempt to have this conversation then. You need to create that right environment. So it might be, well, for example, my husband and I, when we have these conversations, what we normally do is we get a glass of wine or a cup of tea and we sit on the veranda surrounded by the flower pots, which is, our calming, happy spot. And that's where we have the discussion. So it doesn't have to be that it doesn't have to be a huge process, but find a place free of distraction, make it welcoming, and make it so that you're both feeling calm and happy. And you're saying, I'd like to have a talk about something, can we do it here? Great. So that is step number 1. Now, if I take my eyes off the screen here, if you're watching this on video, it's because my notes are behind me. So if I sort of zone out, that's because I'm looking over here. Now, the next step is establish credibility. Now, in your case, what you're going to be doing here is you want to be able to show them that you're committed, that this is not just something that is a hobby. It's not just something that is, just a fad that you've got and you're going to go into something else. So to do that, you have to establish your credibility. So explain to them why. Share with them your passion and your vision about what you're doing. But also the credibility is to be able to show, this is what I've done so far. I have actually been focusing on this. I've been learning this. You don't have to spend a lot of time on this. We're going to go into this in more detail, but you have to, show them that, this is something I'm serious about. Don't get defensive, okay? You're just saying here, this is something I've been working at for quite a while. This is not something that's just going to pass or a fad. So that's the second one, is establish credibility. Okay, now the next one is to use a hook or a cliffhanger. Because what they're thinking at this stage is, okay, so I'm pretty comfortable. She wants to talk to me. Yep, she wants to talk about this because it's something that's really important. Now they'd be thinking, all right, what's in it for me? Because you know what the sad fact is? Even as much as your partner may love you, as much as they care and want to support you, whatever, everybody has in the back of their mind, what's in it for me? Now we're going to discuss in a moment what's in it for them, but you just need to say, hey, look, I just want to, can we just spend, 20, 30 minutes. I want to run a few ideas by you. Just let me sort of, have a talk first and then we'll have discussion. And you know what? I've got some ideas I'm going to share with you at the end that's going to make it, that you'll really, really like. So you don't have to say exactly what it is that there's going to be the hook, the reason to stay. It could be, I've got a great idea, I've got a great solution, or, I've got something that's in it for you. It is your partner after all. Just allude to that hook because they need to be thinking, oh, all right, there is something in it for me here. I'm not just listening. Now I can relax a little bit more. Now, the next thing that they're going to have is a bit more of your story. And the reason for this is they really need to be able to relate to you. Now, I'm just flicking over here, looking at my notes. Now, there is, with your partner, hopefully you've got a lot of that groundwork covered about them understanding, knowing, why you're doing this and what your passion is. But I said at the beginning about the credibility that you would say, okay, well, this is, I'm really passionate about doing this, or I've been focusing on this for this amount of time. Now you're going to go into a bit more. So you really want to get their buy-in of why you're passionate about this. And you want to share a little bit more story, a bit more ground depth, in what have you been doing so far to achieve your dream? Keeping in mind whatever it is that you're moving towards that you want the support on. So you want to be able to demonstrate and give a bit more of the story about what you've been doing, the steps that you've taken, any results that you may have had so far, any things that you've particularly learnt. Just that story. Now, the important thing here is you are not justifying, okay? Don't get defensive. What you're wanting to do here is let them understand that, you know what, I'm loving this. I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing this because I've got this vision. I've got this because I can see this solution. So your story is just getting them so that they can be involved in your passion, because that's what drives people in really understanding you. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is the problem. Now, this is one of those things that quite often may already be the topic of a lot of your discussions. But what we're doing here is we're talking about the problems that they may have as well. Now, that problem may be that, you're going to be talking about the problem that you're solving through, that you're wanting to be, the reason you're in business, but also the problem that they have. So it may very well be that one of the problems that they have is at the moment, if it's a startup, your business is not making money. And so that can be really concerning them. So you can be having as your problem that, I also am worried about money, but I'm doing this, because I've got this vision that this is going to be our nest egg, or this is going to mean that I can stop working. So that may be one of the problems. So addressing, that could be the problem, and so this can be the solution that you're working towards. It might be about time. For example, one or both of you may be working long hours, maybe working out of the home, maybe commuting, may not be happy with the work you're doing and the amount of time that you're there. So it may not just be you. It may be them as well. And so saying, I want to be able to make this work so that we can free you up, so you're not having to work those long hours, or so that I can be home more and I'm not burnt out and stressed. It might be that you want to spend more time with children if you've got children, or doing activities. So it will normally come down to money and time. But keep in mind what is that problem? Because it could be that they also are frustrated by the same things and they're looking for a solution. And you can be pitching your business as the potential solution for that problem. So remember, the problem is as much theirs as yours, because we want to talk to what their problems are. Okay, so now we're going to work on solutions. Now the solutions are the most important thing. This is where the bulk of your time is taken. Now the solution, I'm going to bring you back now to the original thing that you had. Now the solution may be that, for example, you're wanting, if their problem has been money, then what you need to be doing is, around your solution is going to be, okay, if you're wanting to invest some money in something in the business, you need to be saying to them, okay, let's us work out a budget of how much can we invest in the business so we can make a decision together about the best ways to spend that budget. And how long have we got until we review? Is that the best use that we have made of that money? So even having those discussions about, okay, we are investing this much in this potential solution to money. Now, if it's around time, if the problem that they've got is around time that you are spending in the business and that they're not supporting you of that, then it can be, okay, let's work out how much time I can be spending on the business, and let's work out when I'm going to completely shut off. So it might be, you know what, I really want your support for me to be working of an evening while I'm in the startup or whatever it is. But I want you to know that we're going to have one full day every weekend where I'm not doing anything and it's 100% you, or whatever it is that's going to be your solution. So you can't just say, I've got to be getting this work done, there's a lot to do. You have to remember that they're wanting time with you as well. So if that's their problem, then you're going to be looking at, okay, time, where is the time with you? Now, it may be that you're wanting to talk about support in terms of you want to purchase a particular thing. For example, you want to do a training program, go to a workshop, invest in a mentor. Now, that for something like that, what you need to do is you need to be able to present to them, okay, this is the problem it solves and this is the solution. So for example, I could spend all of the time trying to get the free resources to work out how to do this thing, but it's going to take this much time, which is going to be longer until we get the result. Or I can invest this and it's going to speed up our time. So take the time to be able to show them, this is where we're going to get the result from this spend. So, and it may be with a mentor that you're going to be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to get those results faster. Interestingly, just as an aside, I had one of my VIP clients saying the other day, her mother was saying, why are you spending all of that money with mentoring with Janet? Is that something that we can get rid of that expense? And she was able to look at everything and say, you know what, I can't afford not to. Because my business has grown so much during that time. But unless you can actually show the results or show the potential results, you've got to be prepared to give them the respect of, here I'm presenting the results, the potential results. So look at that when it's looking at whether you're wanting to show them, investing in a mentor, investing in a course, going to a workshop, another expense in the business. Now, it may very well be that you simply don't want them to undermine you. Now, if you have explored with them around the problem, it could be that they're frustrated because they're worried about the money, or they may be frustrated because they want to be doing something different, but you're doing it, or whatever it is. If you understand why they may be undermining you and not even realizing it, then part of that solution is going to be, let's have an agreement that if you start to say this, that we'll have a code word that I will say, so you'll stop, for an example. So talking about what is, the solution that you can be having on that. Now, that's where the bulk of your time is going to be spent, and approaching it as, this is a partnership. I'm being really, really clear on what I'm wanting. and what my goal is. And I'd like to enroll you in understanding that importance, and let's set some boundaries around that so that we can both know where we're standing. Now, there's at this point, this is where you will also be replying to, giving, when you said at the beginning the hook, this is what you're going to get. Well, this is where you're going to be bringing in that result. So delivering on your promise. So it could be, I've got an idea on, when I was talking about, scheduling time or money investment and a budget, that's you saying, okay, here is the solution and I'm delivering it for you. It may also be, you know what, I'll leave it up to your imagination, but I can tell you at the very, very beginning, at the bootstrapping where I was getting my husband to really put in some time helping me to do things because we didn't have the money. We had to learn how to do things ourselves. He was rewarded with enticements. I'll leave that up to you. So, this is where you're going to be delivering on a promise. And that promise can simply be, here is the solution. Now, the last part, and this is where a lot of people miss in the sales process, and also here, is a call to action. Now, that call to action needs to be very specific. And remember, everything has been tied to them. What has been their frustration? How is this solution then going to solve this problem? So when it comes to the call to action, think back to what was the issue that you had, that you wanted to discuss with them. So for example, it might be that you have a sense of isolation and you feel like you're doing it on your own. So your call to action to them might be, you know what, I would really like it if once per week we have a cuppa or a glass of wine on the veranda or wherever it is that you do, go for a walk, and I can just share with you some of the major things that are either exciting me or frustrating me in the business. I just want you to hear, but let's keep it to that particular time period. So that might be a good call to action for you. This is an example of one thing that I used at one time because I was feeling isolated. That I just said, okay, well, let's have an agreement that I can just totally unload, but it's going to be limited to that particular time. So you're not always feeling like it's all we talk about. It could be the call to action is going to be, okay, let's work out in our calendar now, if it's time that they're wanting and your attention, let's work out now when we're going to have, a date night, or when we're going to have unlimited time, or let's work out in the calendar of the times that I will work. I might want to work of an evening. Let's work that out now in the calendar. If it is around money, let's say, okay, let's work out now the exact budget that we can apply here at this particular phase if we're needing to draw on funds that are outside the business. So we needed to be drawing on things that are coming from our savings rather than cash flow of the business. Let's work out an agreed budget now, an agreed time that we will review that expense. So that's a call to action that you can do then. If the problem that you've got is that they are undermining you, well, then your call to action will be, these are the situations where I have found that you may not even realize, but saying this actually crushes me. And so let's just accept that I really can't have you saying those particular words. So if you say those words, can we have an agreement now on how will I let you know that that has hurt, and that we don't need to discuss it then and there, that you will just stop. So it could be a word. It could be, a sign that you make. So for them to be aware that you don't have to keep on rehashing it all the time. There is just a signal so that they know. And, that's one that I've had to use as well. My husband didn't realize that a question that he was asking me, which he thought was helpful, was actually making me feel unsupported. He thought he was being really helpful. So we just had to go, like, I'm interpreting it in this way, so let's stop that sentence. The call to action is really, really important. Otherwise, all you've had is a discussion with no resolution. And that call to action is really, really important. Okay, so let me now just review Janet's 7-step process to get your partner to support your dreams using my 7-step sales process. So, number 1, welcome the viewer. Create a good environment to discuss. Number 2, establish credibility. This is short and sweet, but letting them know that, you know what, you're serious about this. You're in it for the long haul. Number 3 is we want to have a cliffhanger, a hook, something that we go, you know what, I've got a solution, I've got an idea, I'm going to present to you at the end, you know, in a moment. So that gets them, you know, and I think it's going to be, you'll really like it. So that's going to be your hook, so they'll stay on. Now, and you've got their attention. The next one is your story. So that's where you're going a lot more, and this is not a defensive place. This is you talking and convincing them of your passion and your drive, and that you have actually been working towards this. This is not the place for you to be putting grievances. This is all focused on getting a solution. The next one is we need to paint the problem, and the problem is their problem. What could be causing them problems in terms of they might be worried about money, they might be worried about time with you or attention with you, or they may have their own frustrations. So that things that they would really like to be able to do, so that you can be setting the next step as a solution to those problems. And that's the next step, solutions, where you're going to be talking about, okay, this is what I would like, and this is how I can see can be a great solution for us to do this. That's where you spend the majority of your time. The very last one, and that's also where you deliver on your hook. And the very last one is your call to action. Okay, let's have an agreement on this now. So I hope that that really helps you. I've also got, if you're listening to this on the recording, if you're listening to this on iTunes, come over to the page where I've got this podcast on our website, because I've outlined there the steps for you so that you can use them, so that you can have like a little bit of a cheat sheet for you to be able to follow when you're having those difficult conversations. Now, there is one last thing that I want to say to you. And this is a big mistake that I see a lot of people make. Your ideal vision may be that you and your partner are in business together, you strive forward, you're both as motivated, you're both wanting to go to the same events, and you're both wanting to get really into it. But you know what? That's not fair. That might be your vision. Is it theirs? Just because that's what you want, it is really unfair for you to expect your partner to get sucked into your slipstream if that is not the path that they want to take. They may have something else that they are passionate about. And for you to have that expectation of them is going to put unnecessary stress on your relationship, because it's your dream, not theirs. And if it's not going to be that is their dream, well, stop expecting it on them, okay? You can do this on your own. But what you do need is going to be their support, their encouragement. It doesn't mean that you're both living the same dream, because you can be getting great support from your partner simply by them saying, hey, tell me what's been happening. Or yes, you're doing a great job, or yes, I believe in you, or yep, let's talk about it. I think that's a great thing to invest in at the moment. That can be all the support you need. You don't have to both be doing it. That can put unnecessarily stress on your relationship. As an example, you know, my husband and I went through this for a while, and he actually did a trial working in my business. But, you know, we realised that wasn't his passion. He's a great ecologist. That is his passion. Him being involved in my business was not living his dream. And it's really easy now. He's got his dream, I've got mine. We support each other. We believe in each other, but we're not on the same path. Okay, I really do hope that that helps you. I would really love to hear from you. Has this 7-step system to get your partner to support your dreams worked for you? And I'd also love to hear your stories of how have you been able to, you know, get support from your partner. I know anything that you can share is really going to motivate other people as well. So please come and share them down below on the blog post in the comment section, or just come and share over on social media, or drop me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, bye.